Guys, it's officially happening. Drake Maye is the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. I thought it was going to happen a little later in the season, but it's here. This is Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. Let's get into it. Alright, today I did want to start off with the news of Jabril Peppers. I will keep my personal opinion on the matter out, but I did want to run the facts by you in case you had not heard of this or are not aware of what is going on with it. Peppers pleaded not guilty Monday morning in court to assault, strangulation, and drug charges. The drug charges are Class B. For his first offense, that includes a year jail time and or a $1,000 fine. His attorney, Mark Brofsky, as they were leaving the court Monday, quoted, "We have evidence that completely contradicts the alleged victim's story. I expect my client to be fully exonerated," end quote. So, clearly they're confident in their ability to get Jabril Peppers out of the situation and proven not guilty. But it is worth noting, I will say, that Jabril Peppers has not been released by the Patriots yet. He is still a part of the team. So, the Patriots can take certain actions and the NFL can take certain actions. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. It's going to take a while. And it's unsure whether or not he will join the team while this is all going on. But now to the big news, probably of the whole year. Drake Maye was named a starter this morning. And am I excited about it? I don't know. I'm all over the place. But I will say Jacoby Brissett was losing us games. And Mayo, after the game, said the offensive line didn't play too bad. So it was you could kind of read between the lines there that he didn't fault the offensive line for our loss, really. And if you're not going to fault the offensive line, then probably faulting Jacoby Brissett. I do think it's early. I don't think this was their plan to play them at home against the Texans. That wouldn't really make too much sense. I think they rushed the process here with Drake Maye and put him in because of how poor Jacoby was playing and maybe because of a little bit of pressure from the outside. But I do believe in Maye's abilities up to this point. I think he will be able to take the hits that he inevitably will take, and he's definitely mentally tougher than Mac Jones. So playing with a bad offense and a poor play caller that Alex Van Pelt has proven to be this year so far, he will turn out better than Mac Jones. Even at his worst, I think he will be better than Mac Jones. With that being said, I don't want him to play yet because I'm scared of his fundamentals being ruined. His big thing coming into the NFL was his fundamentals. He's got all the natural, God-given ability to play quarterback. His build, his athleticism all correlate with who NFL teams are looking for to play quarterback. So that's why he was drafted so high. His fundamentals needed to be worked on. They looked like they were improving in the offseason. We've heard reports that he was getting better in training camp, preseason, even during the regular season, splitting starting reps with Jacoby Brissett. But I am nervous that him playing this early could ruin everything he worked hard to fix very quickly. So he's got a very big test in his first game. I mean, the Texans have premier edge rushers, maybe the best duo in the NFL in Danielle Hunter, who they just signed to a massive contract extension, and then former first overall pick, Will Anderson. It's going to be a good test with that, with the duo at cornerback they have in Derek Stingley Jr., a former first-round pick in his own right, and paired with rookie Kamari Lassiter, who has proven to be a very good cornerback too for the Texans this year. But there are some things we can look for. Is Drake Maye going to do well extending plays? Well, he was known for that in college, whether it is scrambling down the field or escaping the pocket when necessary and looking downfield to make a pass. That's something he did excel in college. So we'll see if he can continue to do that. It is probably going to be a necessity for a lot of passing plays. On top of that, how's his passing across the middle of the field? Another thing that Drake Maye excelled more than any other draft prospect at the quarterback position this year by a very wide margin. That was probably his strong suit in the passing game, was passing across the middle, which is not easy in the NFL. That's why it was so highly scouted from Drake Maye, and we'll see if he can continue to do that. He did it a little bit in the preseason, but that extends your playbook a lot more when a quarterback can confidently throw in the middle of the field. And on top of that, is he rushing through his progressions? Is his mind right? Is he nervous back there, or is he taking his time going through his reads? That is caused by looking at the defense pre-snap and seeing what they do post-snap. So that's very tough. We'll see if he can do that. Something he also needed to work on. And for the most part, I've heard good things about his ability to go through his progressions. Next, his pocket presence. How is his footwork going to look in the pocket? Yeah, it looked like the Patriots staff did a really good job of fixing his footwork. It looked a little forced in the preseason. It didn't look natural to me. It looked a lot more natural when he got in there versus the Jets earlier this year. But he had a problem of he would move up into the pocket, but he would be moving into pressure and causing problems for himself. So I'm very interested to see how he reacts there. Now, I, again, can't believe I'm about to say this because I didn't think we'd be able to compete at all this year, but as our division stands right now, the Bills are 3-2 and are having a little bit of trouble dealing with their opponents so far. They just got blown out by the Ravens, just lost to the Texans, a good team obviously, but then you have the Jets who just fired head coach Robert Saleh earlier today. They're in shambles. Aaron Rodgers isn't looking like the normal Aaron Rodgers. Their defense is still pretty good, but obviously you saw what happened a couple weeks ago when we played them. But that was much due to Jacoby Brissett's poor play and a worse offensive line than what we are dealing with now, which I will get into later. And then you have the Dolphins at 2-3, again, who we just lost to, but much due to Jacoby Brissett's play. Now, if Drake Maye had played, I think we would be talking about a different outcome. But at the same time, that's the cards we're dealt with right now. Obviously, we're at 1 win, but the Bills are at 3-2. They're still within reach. I think this is what maybe also forced the Patriots to make a move. They still see an opportunity to compete in the division. And hell, once you do that, you get a playoff bid. So, no, maybe not the wild card race, but if teams in the AFC East play poor, it could shape out where you can win your division at 8 or 9 games and sneak into the playoffs. You're asking for a lot, obviously, especially with our injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but interesting to note. Another guy I wanted to highlight in this episode, who I was looking forward to talking about a lot, before the Drake Maye news. Obviously, that was way more important. I'm talking about Vederian Lowe. Vederian Lowe, I cannot believe I'm going to say this, had a great game. Not even really good, a great game. He played against the Dolphins without their top two pass rushers, albeit, but did not allow any pressures for Jacoby Brissett in the game. And on top of that, he did pretty good in the run game too, I would say. Now, you guys, if you have listened before, know I thought Vederian Lowe sucked for a very long time. I didn't even want him on the team this year. I said if I saw his name on the roster, I was going to get pissed off. But here we are, and here Vederian Lowe is performing a lot better, exceeding my expectations by a lot. So, my question to Vederian Lowe, or for Vederian Lowe, is can he be a contributor and a reliable left tackle option for the rest of the season? Well, if he can, that changes the aspect, our whole aspect of how this year is going to play out. And I know we're only in week 5, but the draft. When you are at the number 1 spot right now in the draft, you got to talk about it, which we are, if you didn't know. Right now, if the season ended today, we'd have the number 1 overall draft pick. Well, if Vederian Lowe keeps it up and Drake Maye goes out there and performs well, we're not going to be within that top 3 to 5 spot, I don't think. But, hell, if you don't need to draft a left tackle, how about you focus on possibly another cornerback and Will Johnson out of Michigan? Imagine that duo with him and Christian Gonzalez. You got an aging Jonathan Jones. Marcus Jones, obviously still reliable, but outside of that, you don't really have anyone. What if Jonathan Jones is gone next year? Another option, wide receiver. Arizona wide receiver Tetaroa McMillan, the 6'5", 212-pound wide receiver. You want your true X receiver? Well, you don't find them like this a lot. And maybe it's similar to what the Bengals did when they drafted Jamar Chase instead of Penei Sewell. I would say that worked out pretty well for the Bengals, considering they ended up in the Super Bowl the next year with a good secondary that the Patriots have. Also, another option, trade down, maybe draft an edge. You have Tennessee's James Pierce or Georgia's Kel Williams. 2 options to pair, get better pass rushing, and you solidify with Keon White, Devon Godchow, and Christian Barmore, one of the best defensive lines in the league. This is what happens if Vederian Lowe can step up and prove to be a reliable left tackle. You get these options, and your team automatically becomes a lot better next year. You take a big step forward in competing for the division, for the playoffs, for a championship. But he will have a big test this week in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson on the Texans. Something that we need to focus on watching, because that is going to tell a lot about how this year is going to play out. I thought the offensive line had a really good game against the Dolphins, and specifically Vederian Lowe. I have a bunch of film to prove it, and I will show you guys when we get back. I will break down the game against the Dolphins more and how we will compete against the Texans. This is Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV.
Malo is my French bulldog. He made my heart bigger when he came in my life. He never really liked his food. He wouldn't eat till like 10 o'clock at night. To me, it was saying, oh, I guess I don't want to starve. He was having skin breakouts, and putting the 2 and 2 together, what you put into your body is what you get out. I know that if I'm eating a bunch of processed food, I'm not going to feel good. That kind of led me to Farmer's Dog. Immediately, his skin issues went away. I love what they're doing. It's already portioned out. He's eating whole foods. It's amazing.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference, our team store where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only, our podcast page where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media, our subscription page where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
Welcome back to Paul Talks Patriots on Dog TV. Well, yeah, it was another poor performance from Alex Van Pelt. That's the first thing I got to start with. Poor time management and poor play calling at the end of the first half and at the end of the fourth quarter, at the end of the game. Now, at the end of the second half, well, you're backed up. You're at about your own 5-yard line. You got to make a decision here. You have 3 timeouts, and you don't have that much time left, under 2 minutes. So you decide, drain the clock, go to halftime with the lead, or try and put more points on the board. Well, our offense really hasn't been one to push the ball down the field too fast. So if I was in charge, I would be draining the clock. You're happy you're at halftime with a lead. What does Alex Van Pelt decide to do? Well, he starts off with a Ramondre Stevenson run that goes for 8 yards. That's great. Now you have a 2nd and 2. Were you expecting that? Probably not. 2nd and 2. Great opportunity to take a shot downfield. So what does Alex Van Pelt decide to do? He throws down the field to Jalen Polk. Incomplete pass. I haven't seen us throw a ball towards the sideline successfully once this year, so I don't know why he decided to do that. He could have thrown in the middle of the field, which gives you more opportunity for a run after the catch, break a play, you never know. So, alright, he decided to take a shot down the field. Why throw it to the boundary when you haven't had success all year doing that, and you leave no opportunity for a wide receiver to make a play for extra yards afterwards? Doesn't make sense to me. Alright. And if you run the ball, you probably got a first down, and then Miami is forced to use a timeout. But the good news is now it's 3rd and 2. You can just run the ball again, which you have been doing so well the whole half. Why stop now? What does he decide to do? He decides to throw it again. What happens? An incomplete pass. At that point, you need to give up on scoring, getting down the field, and just hand the ball off. Waste the clock out. At least make Miami use some timeouts before eventually punting. Make Huntley drive down the field with limited clock. But that's not what happened. We punt, and luckily, Miami finds themselves in field goal range and completely botched the field goal attempt, and nothing too bad happens. But realistically, they should have gotten at least 3 points there. And then at the end of the game, the second to last drive that we had started off really good. We're moving the ball. We get a flag that kind of killed our momentum, but we still get down to the Miami 12-yard line with 1:13 to go in the game with 3 timeouts. After the game, Maye said he thought his defense was a little gassed and they wouldn't do too well. So he didn't trust the defense, which is fine, because he thought they were out of energy. And that was, instead of going for a field goal, we decided to go for it on 4th down and we didn't get it. But in my opinion, if your game plan is to go for it on 4th down and you're at the 12-yard line with 3 timeouts, why not run the ball that you've been doing so well all game doing, averaging 8 yards per carry nearly? Just run the ball. If you don't get it, you call a timeout. The 3 passes in a row just made no sense to me, especially if, which Alex Van Pelt should have known from Gerard, who knows if they communicated that, but if Alex Van Pelt knew inevitably he was going to go for it on 4th down if it came to that. It made no sense to pass it 3 times there. Give it to your playmaker, Ramondre Stevenson, and let him go to work. And then you have the last play of the game. I'm not going to blame Alex Van Pelt for it. I will blame Jacoby Brissett, though. I don't know why he didn't just throw the ball away. Clearly what he wanted wasn't open. Hunter Henry naturally is going to catch the ball if it's thrown his way. Yeah, I could tell him to knock the ball down, but whose instincts as a receiver is to ever do that? Jacoby Brissett should have just thrown it away. He didn't. And there was a lot of poor play from Jacoby Brissett. I got 5 plays here that I'm going to break down. This is in the first quarter, which should have been an easy completion on 3rd and 1. You have Pop Douglas coming in motion. You can see him right here across the field. And look at that. He's wide open that whole way. Brissett goes to the outlet right there in Ramondre Stevenson. And granted, you get to the 1st down. But how does Jacoby Brissett miss Pop Douglas? Watch him right here. I just circled him. Right there. He's looking right at him and still decides to go to Ramondre Stevenson. It really just doesn't make sense to me. And then watch this. From the end zone view, you can see Pop Douglas at the bottom of your screen right there, wide open, and a clean pocket. You have 2 people on the ground. He's got all the room in the world. You can clearly see Pop Douglas right in front of him, and instead decides to dump the ball off to Ramondre. Now, I'm not a terrible play by any means, but why? Why go to Ramondre when you can give the ball to your playmaker like a Pop Douglas? Next play here is going to be another situation where Jacoby is dealing with a clean pocket, and look at here. Just watch. You got Pop Douglas and Polk open. Look at Pop, wide open on that little hook. And Jacoby doesn't like it, escapes. Still looking downfield with no one near him. All that field to work with. Jalen Polk down the sideline, working his way back. Brissett decides to keep it. You know, he already takes enough hits as it is. Why he decided to do that, I don't know. But watch this pass protection too. They rush 4. You got a 6-on-4 right now. Look at that. Could have easily given it to Pop, decides not to. Instead, pumps fakes it, almost probably fumbles because he hits Leverett almost. And decides to roll out. Now, why not give yourself some time there with all this room and wait to see who can get open before committing to the run? Instead, he goes for the 1st down. Probably should have got it. It was ruled short. And you had Jalen Polk on the sideline there too. Takes the snap. Very simple route here. A lot of options. Look at him look at Jalen Polk. Probably his first option here. He's wide open. And he just decides not to throw to him. Why? He's wide open. At the end of the second quarter, the clock's running out. Boom, get it to him on the sideline. Instead, he rolls out. Calais Campbell's right there, and no one else is pressuring. Has to throw it away because you have a 6'8" defensive tackle in your face. And this is just a different view. Watch this blocking. Watch who else is open here. Boom, Ramondre right there. Why not just give it to him? Nope, pump fake because you waited too long and now it's covered. And then look at this blocking. You have all the room in the world on your left side, and you decide to roll out and get hit by Calais Campbell. You put the pressure on yourself there. Makes no sense to me. Next. Just watch. This was the big play to Pop Douglas. O-line blocks well. He was getting pressured, but didn't get knocked over. And just completely airmails the ball over Douglas's head. But watch Douglas's route here. Douglas, top of the screen right here. He sees him as all the time to throw. Look at all this space below Pop Douglas on this play. You don't even have to give him a good ball. It just needs to be in front of him. And you got yourself in a goal-to-go situation. Instead, airmails it, incomplete pass. Now, the final play I wanted to look at was in the fourth quarter. Watch every single receiver and then watch who he throws it to here. Very simple route combination from his receivers here, a slant concept. And watch what he does here. So his first two reads are going to be on his right side, the side he turns to, Douglas and Polk. And you got to make a quick decision here. But watch what he does. Boom, looks right. Look at Polk and look at Douglas. He's looking that way, obviously. Look how wide open Douglas is right here. So wide open. And sees that and decides he doesn't like it. So what's he do? Quickly, without even glancing over there because it's getting late, throws to Polk. Also, has Hooper wide open here, which he could probably look at any time. And it's an incomplete pass. On the other side, you're never really going to look over there because it just happens too quick, but could have fit Hooper at any point on that play and easily could have hit Douglas. So that's something hopefully the Patriots saw and think Drake Maye can do better. And honestly, I think Drake Maye could have won us that game, which I hate people saying that because who knows? We don't know what Drake Maye is going to look like during a full game, but he can't be any worse than what Jacoby was against the Dolphins. I think we win with Drake Maye. And as I said earlier, the only reason I don't want Drake to start is because of our offensive line. And I didn't want him to get flustered and have bad technique. But he could have played behind that offensive line. They actually played pretty well. Like I said, Lowe had a really good game, but there was some plays where Jacoby screwed up and it was just on him. It was good blocking and he screwed up. But I do want to show some highlights of our offensive line because I do believe they did well. Take a look at this one at the end of the second quarter. All right, we got a tight formation here. Ramondre is going to run up the middle on this play. Watch the blocking, though. This was that first play I was talking about, Ramondre's 8-yard run here. They start at the 4-yard line on a play that's probably only supposed to get 3 or 4 yards. Watch this. Look at that beautiful double team right there. You have Leverett and Jordan, and then Onwenu and Jacobs. Great double teams to start, and they're already 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. Then look, work their way up, beautiful technique to the second level to succeed in their double teams. And it ends up in an 8-yard gain for Ramondre. They got about 3 or 4 yards downfield. That's when you change the line of scrimmage like that, good things are going to happen. Now, for the second one I want to show, this one was the first play of the third quarter, actually, and I did want to highlight Vederian Lowe on this one. I thought this was really good by Vederian. Just give it a look. You're going to have a guard pull from Onwenu here, and watch Vederian on this down block just get into the second level. Vederian right there. Boom. Look at how much he just moved that man, that grown man, and then it completely engages onto the block. Onwenu succeeds in his pull, and a great hole for Ramondre to run through. That is just textbook right there. And I don't know if you noticed Ramondre's reaction here, but look at this. Wide open. I mean, you're so close to breaking away for a touchdown. Watch his reaction. He's mad because if he slipped past that tackle, he was taking it to the house. Just textbook blocking from Vederian Lowe, and a good job by the offensive line overall. The third one I want to show is the first play of the fourth quarter. Also, watch Vederian Lowe on this play as well. Really good stuff. And just great blocking by the offensive line as a whole. And they're not rushing anyone crazy. They're rushing 4 people, so you should win. But you know how we've been this whole year. Clean pocket for Brissett. Everyone is engaged with their man. Boom. Gibson helps out there, slips out. Brissett gives him the pass, dumps it off. I don't like it really because someone's in his face, and you have Hooper wide open there. That might have been specific to the play, but again, I want to highlight Vederian Lowe here. Boom, first step. Great position, doesn't overset. Then he engages immediately. Probably could get his hands on him quicker, but look at that base, very wide, and he stays with him. And how's that grass taste? Puts him on the ground. Great block by Vederian, great finish to the block. This is what I'm telling you. He surprised me with his blocking ability. And then in the fourth quarter, this is a couple plays later. This one isn't as good, but worth highlighting in my opinion. This is a really good run from Gibson. But we're going to have outside zone here, which was going to be a big part of our offense this year. It hasn't been working too well, but I really like this play. Look at everyone here. Onwenu on the right side of the defender, and Henry working that way. Leverett gives a nice shove there and starts working his way up. And boom, Antonio Gibson sees the hole, cuts it back up. Onwenu still engaged, definitely could have been better there, or called for a hold maybe. But still engaged. Jacobs does his job backside, and Onwenu holds his block just enough. Leverett gets hit on his guy in second level and allows Antonio Gibson to cut up field for a nice gain. So not the best block, but this is what we should be doing in the run game. That was good enough to get a nice run, and we should be able to do that a lot more consistently. You're not asking for a lot there out of your linemen, but it's really good and something that we should continue succeeding in. Finally, this is the last play I'm going to show for the offensive line and highlight Lowe's pass set here. Really good. Not perfect, but very good. Very good. Brissett working with a clean pocket here. Jacobs on the right side really didn't block his man too well, but we're talking practice squad player here that's starting for us because of injuries. But watch Lowe. First step, good. Gets out there to get on to a nice level. Engages first with the defender. Knocks him off course. And his feet could be a little better there. Crossing a little bit. But he gets engaged back and dries him out 9-10 yards. That's a perfect block for a tackle. No worries on the blind side for Brissett there. And I really think Lowe, if he keeps this up again, he's going to have a really big challenge this upcoming game. But if he can succeed, guys, we might have a left tackle that we can at least rely on. It's not going to be a problem anymore. And we can focus on a different position of need in the upcoming draft. As everyone's been saying, we're going to draft a left tackle. I do think the offensive line is going to struggle a little bit. Again, going against Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. They run a 4-front, which we kind of struggle against. But the Patriots' defensive backs against the Dolphins looked tremendous again. Gonzalez solidified himself as a top 5 cornerback in my opinion. His stats weren't as great versus Tyreek in coverage, but a pair of chunk plays where it was just zone coverage and the Dolphins found a hole in the zone coverage, kind of made Gonzalez's stats look worse than they were. So, really good game for Gonzalez. I'm happy for him with his interception and nearly a second one that Tyreek made a good play on. Outside of Gonzalez, Del Pettis and Marte Mapu stepped up in the absence of Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers. Now, were they great? Were they as good as Peppers and Duggar? No, but Del Pettis, for being an undrafted free agent, played pretty well. Marte Mapu, for barely playing, basically being injured his whole career up to this point, played really well in that Kyle Duggar role. Outside of them, Marco Wilson sucks. I don't like Marco Wilson. Unfortunately, Alex Austin is on IR, and we have to deal with Marco Wilson. Maybe you see more from Marcellus Dial, but I don't think he proved that he deserves playing time either. Outside of that, I have more film. So here you go again. Watch that play fake. Mapu and McMillan just completely fall for it, and they keep going. It was like Mapu was just following McMillan, wasn't paying attention to what's going on. And you got a receiver wide open in the middle of the field. That was awful. They went about 8-10 yards in the wrong direction falling for that play action. So maybe that's something else that the Texans see and want to take advantage of this weekend. Keep an eye out on that. A guy that was just released by his team, former Super Bowl champ and second team All-Pro linebacker Devin White. You may remember him on the Bucks when he had those accolades. Just got released by the Eagles after not playing for them all year. Maybe take a look at Devin White to bring in and improve your linebacker group in the absence of Jawan Bentley. As far as the Texans go, well, outside of their great pass rush, the Texans rank third in passing yards led up per game, due to the fact that they also have that great duo, Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamari Lassiter, that I mentioned earlier. They have other good DBs and Eric Murray, who will be their nickelback, and then Jalen Petrie at strong safety. They also have good old friend Miles Bryant, but you'll see him on special teams. He doesn't play on defense, really. I do think we can execute in the run game. The Texans rank 17th in rush yards allowed per game and have been without middle linebacker Christian Ellis for the whole season up to this point, which has proven detrimental. Because of this, they play a lot of nickel, which is why they'll have all those good cornerbacks on the field, and they have a linebacker duo of Azeez Al-Shaair and Henry To'oTo'o. Also, wicked confusing to pronounce. They like to make it hard on us. But they probably will bring a strong safety up into the box, have 7 in the box to play against our run game and test Drake Maye in the passing game. They're probably going to play a lot of man, I'm assuming, and see what Drake Maye has to offer. They don't have a lot of depth behind their starters. They've been dealing with a couple of big injuries themselves, so that's something to look out for. If someone on the Texans defense gets injured, they may be in a world of worry. Their offense, most likely to be without Joe Mixon and Nico Collins, who are both week to week now with their injuries. Collins leads the league in receiving yards. Huge loss for them. They will be getting back Dameon Pierce, their running back, who was questionable last week and ended up being a late scratch. They have decent run options along with Pierce in Cam Akers and Dare Ogunbolawe. Ogunbolawe was their leading rusher last week. Not really too worried about him. As far as the receivers go outside of Nico Collins, they have Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell, who make for already good wide receiver 1 and 2, with C.J. Stroud leading the offense. Top 5 quarterback, gonna be tough. They have the highest passing offense in the NFL with 272.4 passing yards. But we have Gonzalez for Diggs, who will be the first time they go against each other. Gonzalez didn't play against the Bills last year. And Marcus Jones for Tank Dell. One of the rare times Marcus Jones is bigger than the receiver he'll probably match up against. And Jonathan Jones against Robert Woods. My prediction for this game is 23-17. It's going to be a lot closer than people think. This is all I got. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Paul Talks Patriots.